What we've learned so far, that 5 people are killed from the incident, others injured at this point. We also know that there is still an active scene. The incident has happened about a half-mile east of the city of Teutopolis, where the edge of town is there. And involved in that incident are multiple agencies. Hazmat is still on scene as of last check this morning. We spoke with officials there on the scene, and they are still keeping residents within a 1-mile radius of the incident evacuated at this point. This is a very developing and ongoing situation. We've reached out to numerous agencies and numerous sources of information here. We also at any point expect a press conference from Illinois State Police to update us with information here. That is something that we anticipate to happen. They sent out a release saying a press conference would happen at 8 a.m. Sometimes these press conferences are a little delayed. It may take them a few minutes to get there. They may have new information, but our plan here is to stay with extended coverage for you here on the morning show so we can get that information moving along and continue to update. Of course, we do have updates on this story on our website, WCIA.com. We've been updating all night there. We've been hearing from many viewers in Effingham County and the Teutopolis area. We've also heard from several emergency officials and crews on the ground. This morning, I spoke to the Effingham County coroner, and she told me, Kim Rhodes, that there is still an active scene, and they do not know if there are more people there still involved in that incident. She only had the time I talked to her that there was 1 fatality. Illinois State Police followed up with a press conference. There were 5 fatalities from the scene, and that press conference came in this morning around 5:20 a.m. or so. If you're looking for more information, of course, we're keeping you updated on Facebook. We're keeping you updated as well on our news page and continuing to bring you updates from this scene here. Seth, I know you're here as well. You're watching for the press conference there. We're kind of keeping our eyes on things and how it goes there. So if you get that press conference, we have that come up, then let us know and we will take that for you here. If we can, I'd like to bring some photos of the scene up. We should be able to do that on our Max computer. There we are. These photos came from Tyler Repking Media down in the Teutopolis area. That's where he's from. And he shared some of these photos for us here of the scene last night where he was on scene gathering information and helping us out here. The incident has brought first responders from all over central and southern Illinois. We know that police as far as Coles County, fire departments from Crawford County have arrived. Fayette County has responded to the scene. Hazmat crews from Mattoon, Charleston have arrived from the scene. Of course, Illinois State Police is highly involved in this process now, and that was a look at the scene shortly after midnight last night. We do have crews on the way from WCIA again this morning to bring more updates from the scene as we continue to get information of this tragic incident that has happened in the Teutopolis area. Teutopolis, a town of about 1,600 people or so, located about 3 miles east of Effingham on Route 40. If you're on Interstate 70, you pass by it. There's not an exit there. The next exit after the I-57 North split is the Montrose exit. Teutopolis is located in the middle of there. Just checking to see if we have that press conference here, keeping an eye on it. And we could probably also real quick grab that map and pull that map in for me, Seth, so we can take a look at that. Still looks like no update on the press conference at this point, but we want to show you where this incident has happened, and that's going to be on Max 2, where we've got that. This is a look at the map here in Effingham County. There is the city of Teutopolis centered there. On the right edge of the screen, where that US 40 icon is there, the far right, that is where the incident has occurred, about a half a mile to the east of Teutopolis. A little further to the east there, Seth, that next icon over on Route 40. That's where the location was, south of I-70. Within a 1 square mile radius, 1 mile radius of that, I should say, there are still evacuations in effect. The first line of evacuations that were brought by local officials from this came for areas that were to the east of Pearl Street. That happened before 9:30. They extended that evacuations to everyone north of the CSX railroad line and to the east of the high school in Teutopolis, including areas there to the north of Interstate 70. Interstate 70 is open at this time. Route 40 is closed and will be closed for an extended period of time. First responders and emergency crews continue to ask you to stay away from the scene, and if you live in Teutopolis, to avoid that area if at all possible. Let's go ahead and bring it back to the desk here. I want to bring you some updates that we have now, some new updates. First off, the National Transportation Safety Board, they have replied back to us. They say they are currently aware of the situation and gathering additional information. And once there is more information on this, we will hear back on whether they will be dispatched to the scene. It is hard to imagine that they will not respond to the scene. I imagine that there will be some sort of investigation from a higher government agency due to this incident in the Teutopolis area. In addition, we do know from the St. Anthony's Hospital in Effingham, they notified us they received 5 patients from the overturned semi-accident on Highway 40 last night. They are having all questions about the incident directed to the investigating authorities. They are thankful for the first responder teams who were able to be on scene, and they say their thoughts and prayers are with those that are involved in this incident. That was Ashley Gramman from the HSHS St. Anthony's Memorial Hospital communications team reaching out to us on that. We've heard from locals in the Teutopolis area about this. They are still evacuated this morning. A evacuation shelter was set up at the grade school, St. Anthony Grade School in Effingham, and we've had folks on scene there say they've had people come in to be sheltered from the evacuation from that. Still nothing on the press conference at this point. We'll continue to keep you updated on that with our press conference here. I'm going to go ahead and read some of the information that we know from authorities as it happened last night. First off, we received word before 9:30 of a major incident in the Teutopolis area, and evacuation orders were in place for parts of Effingham County. The Effingham County 911 office notified us. They said evacuation orders were in effect. Those remain in effect here due to a large ammonia leak. That ammonia leak was the result of a tanker truck that rolled over in the Teutopolis area east on Highway 40, and that also involved other vehicles. We learned that the crash happened at the intersection of Route 40 and North 1950th Street, and is just getting some new information there that happened on Route 40 and North 1950th Street. That's the first main north-south road as you exit the Teutopolis city limits and to the east there. The Effingham County Sheriff's Office, they did confirm that the truck was a semi-truck that rolled over from the scene. The evacuation notice still in place. Hazmat crews still on scene hours later. Again, 11 hours or so, almost 11 hours after this incident happened, and we will continue to bring you updates online and, of course, here on TV during our extended coverage during our morning show hour, the 8 o'clock hour dedicated to our weekend morning show. But with this information, we wanted to bring you updates on that. Effingham County Coroner notified us at 1:20 that there was one person that was confirmed dead as a result of the crash and ammonia leak in Effingham County. They did not have information on where that fatality was from or where the injuries were. Police on scene also have provided a contact number for loved ones. The Illinois State Police has a hotline. That number, I will read it to you, 1-618-542-2171. For anyone concerned about people who may be affected by this or are missing, they have a hotline set up there. Again, that number, 1-618-542-2171. 618-542-2171. A little bit more about this scene became available this morning. The Illinois State Police sent a press release out, and they said that multiple emergency departments remain on scene of the incident that happened east of Teutopolis. Public is still asked to avoid the area. This is a little bit about the scenario that set up this incident east of Teutopolis. At 4:50 p.m. Friday afternoon, a crash on I-70 eastbound occurred just east of Effingham near the Montrose area. That crash closed I-70 eastbound, was not related directly to this incident. Traffic was rerouted then from I-70 onto US 40. The Illinois State Police then say at 9:25, police responded to an additional wreck on Highway 40, about a half-mile east of Teutopolis, involving multiple vehicles. Okay, we have the press conference up now, Seth. Check that real quick for me and bring that up. We're going to bring you a press conference from the Illinois State Police here. They are on scene, I believe, in Effingham with that press conference, so we'll have that up. And Seth, we may need to switch the weather switcher as well to get that in place. So as we get that up here, we will be turning it into the press conference from Effingham County about the incident in Teutopolis and see if we have any more information on that. And so let's go ahead and taking it now here, and so we'll go ahead and tune on in.
The village of Teutopolis evacuated, unfortunately, due to this event, and our prayers are with those who have been affected. I will let the experts who have been working diligently all night on this matter speak more to exactly what happened and to the status of the ongoing cleanup between Teutopolis and Montrose. But I just want to say my prayers go out to everybody affected, and hopefully we can get this cleaned up and everybody restored back to their homes as soon as possible. But it's very important to give emergency personnel all the resources they need, not only from the state, but locally. Folks, just stay clear until you are advised that you can be back in your residence. Give them enough time to where they can figure the situation out. Again, it's fluid. With that, I'd like to give it to Sheriff Paul Coons, the Effingham County Sheriff. Paul.
Good morning. Thank you for coming this morning. Up here with me, I want to introduce Acting Lieutenant Bruce Wagner with the Illinois State Police and Teutopolis Fire Chief Tim McMahon. First off, the families and all those affected have our deepest sympathy. And we realize that by these road closures, by the evacuations, what a hardship that is to several of our citizens in Teutopolis and the surrounding area. But what I can do is ask, please cooperate with this as we mitigate this hazmat. Really, the people that are really doing the heavy lifting and the work here are out at that scene. We have a lot of brave firemen, EMT, hazmat specialists, police officers that are working on the scene as we speak. Last night, a little before 9 p.m., the Effingham County Sheriff's Office received a notice of an accident. This accident caused a large cloud of anhydrous ammonia on the roadway that caused terribly dangerous air conditions in the northeast area of Teutopolis were evacuated because of it. Because of these conditions, the emergency responders had to wait. They had to mitigate the conditions before they could really get to work on it. And it was a fairly large area before they could get actual access to the crash site. I am sorry to say that we do have multiple fatalities, and I'm sorry to say I don't have that exact number for you. We're still dealing with the crash and the emergency caused by the anhydrous ammonia spill, and we will have and release more information as it becomes available. There are several agencies on site, which include almost all of our local fire departments and several of our police departments and the Illinois State Police. With that, I will turn it over to Acting Lieutenant Bruce Wagner.
Thank you, Sheriff. We share the concerns that the Sheriff expressed for the citizens in the Teutopolis area due to the crash and the partial evacuation of the town, and we are working as quickly and as safely as we can to identify anyone who needs help and to get you more information as soon as possible. A little before 5 p.m. last night, a crash on Interstate 70 just east of Effingham caused traffic to be rerouted to US Highway 40. At approximately 9:25 p.m., ISP was alerted to a separate crash that occurred around 8:40 p.m. on US Highway 40, about a half mile east of Teotopolis, involving multiple vehicles, including a tanker truck leaking anhydrous ammonia. Due to the plume from the ammonia leak, the people within an approximate 1 mile radius of the crash on US Highway 40, including the northeastern parts of Teotopolis, were evacuated. The plume also created dangerous conditions, and the crews were not immediately accessible to the scene of the crash. US Highway 40 between Teotopolis and Montrose, they are closed due to the crash and remain closed at this time. The cause of this crash is still under investigation. The ISP will continue to investigate the crash, including traffic crash reconstruction. ISP will remain on site to assist as fire and hazmat crews handle the tanker and ammonia leak. With more information about the ammonia leak and what is being done, I'd like to turn it over to Teotopolis Fire Protection District Chief Tim McMahon.
Tim McMahon, MCMAHON, Fire Chief of the Teotopolis Fire Protection District. Last night the tanker was carrying anhydrous ammonia and began leaking after it was rolled over in the ditch. The last few hours we've been working hard on a plan to offload the tanker. Late last night, a hazmat team had patched the ruptured area of the tanker, which slowed it down, but it did not stop the leak. At that time last night, right after the call, we did enact a reverse 911 plan after arriving on the scene. That plan covered approximately 2 square miles. This morning, we're still continuing to barricade and prevent motorists from traveling near the spilled area. We're currently working on getting our plan together, and that's what I'm going to do when I get back. So that's all I got.
As mentioned earlier, we'll try to take a few questions. I will say that there is information that we don't have, but if you have a question and we can answer it, be more than happy to.
Could you explain the 5 deaths again? The people that died, was it involved in the wreck or was it residents from the leak?
I don't have all that information, and anything I'd say would be closer to conjecture, but the accident scene was large where this happened.
Do we have some kind of information on the capacity of this tanker? I mean, do you know, Tim?
No, I really don't know.
Okay.
If it's a semi-tanker, well, it is. It's a semi-tanker. And I believe that they're about 7,500 gallon. That's my terms, in layman terms.
Okay.
Is how big a tanker it should have been.
Okay. And did you work just on I just want to make sure, for what was said a little earlier, you just worked on evacuating the east side of T-Town at first and then expanded it, or how did that work?
The east side of T-Town was evacuated as per guidelines that are set forth for hazardous materials and dealing with the specific material we had spilled.
And Lieutenant, you mentioned that we had another wreck on I-70, and then we had we had a detour along 40, and I just want to make sure the tanker was in that traffic, or had it already had that wreck?
The tanker was in the diverted traffic, and then had the crash.
What's your advice for the residents? How long will this take for them to be able to get back into their homes? Do you guys have a time period on that?
No. I know that there are a lot of people out there that are working very hard to get that product out of there, to get it offloaded. Once we get the product offloaded and away from the scene, I think things will return back to normal fairly quickly. But it is a complicated situation because of the accident, the damage done to the trailer and to the truck, and it's flipped over. So that is what is causing most of the trouble.
I've noticed people pulling up to the state troopers along the road and wanting to get back to their homes. That would patience be your advice to some of them? I know you guys are trying to do as quickly as possible.
Well, I understand. I understand how frustrating that would be to not be allowed to travel or to go back home. But we really need to focus our resources on this spill and on this situation. So if people could have as much patience, that's what I would ask for. And they'll get it. They'll get it cleaned up. They will get it, but it's a complicated scene. There are a lot of people working hard on it.
And I could follow up to that question. You know, Tim and folks in Teutopolis, all the Teutopolis Fire Protection District, everybody involved. I went through town this morning, and they're working as hard as they can. So just patience on this. When something happens such as this, just give these guys a little bit of time. You know, they've been up since this happened, and they're really trying to reach a resolution as quickly as possible, get everybody back in their homes safely.
Question, the current weather conditions, we don't have a prevailing wind or anything like that. We've had a heavy fog. Has that added to some of the frustration in this situation?
Yes, it has. We kind of fought that all night last night. Just wind changed 3 or 4 different times on us. So that's another reason we got crews out at different places, kind of reporting back on which way the wind's going.
And we've been getting up to date and constant weather reports from the National Weather Service, which helps. But any amount of wind or weather will complicate this process immensely. They're not calling for a lot, but any change makes things difficult.
What makes the anhydrous so dangerous, just to update our viewers on the gas itself?
Anhydrous, and Tim, I'm sorry, you're probably better to answer this, but it attaches itself to mucous membranes and moist surfaces. It's terrible. It's bad stuff if you are involved in it. You know, breathe it especially, because it gets in your airways, in your lungs, and it burns.
Did we have some people who have been air vac'd to hospitals in the region? Is anybody aware of that?
We airlifted 5 people out, I think, for a total last night. One by ground and airlifted 5.
So 5 airlifted and then 1 by ground.
Yep.
Did any senior living facilities or group homes have to be evacuated as part of the evacuations?
I do not
No,
believe
it's
so.
not that I'm aware of.
No.
There aren't any, excuse me, that those mostly reside in Effingham. There aren't any in Teutopolis. Okay, without any further questions, thank you, folks. This will be a very fluid situation. We'll be back again later on this afternoon with updates. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
And welcome back. You just heard a live press conference with officials from Teutopolis of a incident involving anhydrous. To summarize some of the information that we have here, first off, a large plume or a cloud of anhydrous leaked from a semi-truck that overturned at Route 40 last night. That happened by around 9:30 from our understanding. That caused terrible air conditions there. First responders, first off, had to wait to get close to the scene, and many of them are still not able to get to the scene because hazmat is on scene at this time. A lot of the city of Teutopolis has been evacuated as a result of this incident and remains that way. You heard the officials say, please have as much patience as possible in this area. They want to focus their resources on taking care of the hazardous materials on scene and getting on scene to learn more about what has happened and if there are more people present there. We do want to mention, first off, there has been words of multiple fatalities due to the scene. We did receive word from Illinois State Police via a press release, I should say, that there were 5 fatalities. However, that number is preliminarily. I talked to the Effingham County Coroner Kim Rhodes last night. She stated that any information was very preliminary at this point. Very preliminary, that is, because of the nature of this situation. And so there are lots of people working very hard. Multiple agencies from Central Illinois and Southeast Central Illinois are still on scene and will be there for some time. Illinois State Police said that they will remain on site for the duration of this. The notification came out for residents in the affected area via reverse 911 and through the wireless emergency alerts. That was used to notify residents in the area of the immediate evacuation order due to those terrible air conditions in the area. And of course, the weather did play a potential role in how that played out last night. You heard the mention of the National Weather Service. We were aware of something called a surface inversion. What that is, in the weather world, we talk about how you go up in height. The higher you go, the cooler things get. Well, when we have nighttime fall and a clear sky, the surface gets very cold. A warm layer of air aloft can trap that gas close to the surface, and then a light light south and east wind, I should say, brought that to the north and west into the city of Teutopolis and areas north of town there. That evacuation order for those areas, the CSX railroad tracks and from the high school in Teutopolis to the east, remains in effect and may remain in effect for a good while longer based on all indications from this scene. Lots of people working very hard. Again, summarizing the information from that press conference, we do know that multiple fatalities are present. There is a number released of 5 from Illinois State Police. We do not know if that is the final number. We know 5 patients were taken to St. Anthony's Hospital in Effingham. As a result of that, life flights were involved in that process. We also know at St. Anthony's Grade School, a shelter has been set up for those affected residents in the area, and so we will continue to keep you updated on that. I want to bring in one of our sources now here, and to talk about this, we're going to try and get a hold of Tyler Repking here, and Tyler was on scene last night. He was very aware of what was going on and had some information for us. First off, Tyler, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Perfect, perfect. Tyler, last night you were on scene. We've got some of your photos up from this. Can you tell us a little bit about what you saw on scene last night?
Yeah, so basically about midnight is when I was coming from the Effingham football game, and I was actually, my phone just kept blowing up, and I went to the radio station where they had basically the west side of Teton, early on the far east side of Effingham, basically closed off, and Kurt Davis actually, one of the Effingham County cops, told me about some of the stuff. And to get closer to the incident, I actually was able to get to the Teton High School, where pretty big of the mess was, and basically there was several cops, several ambulances, several fire trucks on hand, including I was able to talk to Tim McMahon. Tim McMahon is the fire chief at T-Town, and so basically they said that was literally like the closest I could get, because they were trying to keep as many people away from the area as possible. And Tim was actually telling me that, like, the grade school, basically from the Pearl Street to where the train tracks are at and east of that, I haven't been able to see the incident because they're not letting you get close to that. But basically from there to Schmidt Auction to the storage buildings right on 40 there, that's where like the hot spot's at. And Tim was basically telling me that this is something that they'd never really seen before. And they hope they never have to see this again, as there was several police cars at Dune. I mean, Charleston was there, you name it. I've never seen something like this happen in my high school. Thank God I wasn't in any harm, because I wasn't in the area at the moment. But once I found out about everything from when I saw it on social media, I wanted to get as much coverage of this as possible. So and Fox News even emailed me, and I've been trying to get as much stuff out there as much as possible for the public to see. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, for sure. Tyler, you're from this area, and you mentioned that you have never seen anything like this. I think this is a very unique scene for really a lot of the history in central Illinois. It has been some time since we've had a major chemical leak like this. Can you tell me about how first responders have been handling things? There's been a large number of them. Do you know any information of how they're working through this with the extended hours?
So I was there about midnight. I actually didn't leave there till about 4:05 this morning. So it was more of just like they were basically just kind of waiting around because, I mean, hazmat really can't. They really couldn't come to the situation until hazmat can clear anything out. And so basically, it was more of they were just kind of hanging out, waiting for stuff to clear up. Kim Rhodes and I were talking. And that's whenever we were talking with you on the phone, of course. And it was a scene of where I graduated from Teton High School in 2014. So it's not something that you see every day, and it's not a situation that you want to be in. But it was more of, hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. And I also know you know a lot of the folks that live in this area. Have you talked to any residents who have been relocated and displaced? What's going through their minds?
I have not talked to many, but I have seen stuff on Facebook. I've seen people asking about evacuation stuff, and I'm sure I'm kind of bear with me. I'm running on very little sleep, so it's been it's been a very wild night to say the least. But I do want to tell people that hey, thanks for people reaching out. I mean, yeah, I wasn't in the moment of the scene, but just to be a part of this was just wild. I do remember Tim McMahon, the fire chief of Teton, telling me that people need to basically just be patient with the situation. I don't know much more when it comes to certain evacuations, but I do know enough about across the road where I was at, taking some of those photos that I'm seeing on TV at Stevens Industries, that would be, there was probably anywhere between, I don't know, at least 10 to 11 cops, you name it. And when I took those photos, that's when I got more people reacting to this stuff. So it was a wild situation that I graduated there, like I said, 2014. So this is whoa, this isn't something you want to see.
Tyler, thank you so much for your time and your information. Again, this is Tyler Repking, and his photos are on screen of Repking Media. He's down in the Teutopolis area, often well known in that part of the world. We thank you for your time, Tyler.
Jacob, I appreciate your time and look forward to helping you guys out more.
Thank you, Tyler. So that was Tyler Repking from the Teutopolis area, and we've been talking with him on scene. We have reporters on the way to the scene this morning again, and we will be continuing to bring you coverage here through the night tonight. Want to recap real quick again. Patience, key for this incident for residents in Effingham County that are affected by the anhydrous ammonia leak from a major truck crash, on US 40. I would also like to reiterate that if you've been aware of our coverage, in particular, Teutopolis and Montrose fire departments have been working very hard these last several months because of the Interstate 70. The construction zone has just had many crashes over the last several months, and so this is an incident that is really, I think, straining resources down there. So we will be reaching out to the fire departments that have been dealing with this particular scene and multiple accident scenes in recent weeks and months from I-70. Again, Illinois State Police stated that just before 5 o'clock, a crash on I-70 near Montrose detoured traffic onto US 40. I believe that crash was to the east of Montrose, but regardless, traffic ended up on US 40 and was passing through Teutopolis. Folks down there are well aware of what traffic can do, and as a result then, during the 9 o'clock hour, a major crash with an anhydrous ammonia leak just east of Teutopolis has caused problems in that area. Again, just recapping, we have talked to the National Transportation Safety Board. They are aware of the scene. I would imagine they would be doing some sort of investigation. There will be several agencies, I'm sure, investigating this. Coming up tonight on WCIA 3 News, we'll continue to bring you team coverage on that as we learn more about this scene. Again, the latest numbers from Illinois State Police, 5 fatalities from a major crash and anhydrous ammonia leak. Hazmat still on scene. The evacuation notices are still in order for the Teutopolis area from last night, and we expect this scene to continue to evolve throughout the day today. Make sure you download the WCIA3 News app, as we will continue to update on digital platforms as needed. We will be listening in for more press conferences from Illinois State Police. An incident like this brings memories back of the I-55 crash south of Springfield, the dust storm that left multiple people dead there back in early May. Again, another major incident in Effingham County from a crash here.